Hey everyone, it's me again, Yvonne Emil Elizondo. I hope everyone is doing well. I, on the other hand, am stuffy. I feel like the big nose. I don't know if you all remember the nose commercial, right? That's how I feel. I have massive allergies today. It's been raining here in Central Texas like the last forever. And apparently all of the mold has decided to go up my nose. So I'm sorry if I sniffle, but I was doing some witchy work earlier this weekend and then the last few days, and I realized that I hadn't actually, shared any witchy stuff with you all lately, and so I wanted to take the opportunity to do so. And today I'm going to be sharing with you a book, a witchy book that deals with hexing and cursing. Now, this particular book doesn't teach you how to hex and curse. It teaches you how to unbreak hexes and curses. All right. And so I'll just introduce it to you real quick. I'm not going to go through the entire book. It's not a book review necessarily, but it's a great introduction to what I'm going to share with you. So this is Have You Been Hexed? All right. And it's by Alexandra Charun. Okay. And I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I apologize if I'm not. All right, this is one of the best witchy books that I've come across as far as dealing with hexing and cursing and binding and banishing and, a whole bunch of how to protect yourself from those things. This isn't a how to do those things. This is a how to protect yourself from those things. And I love this book because she's down to earth. She gives you very practical application. She's, really in tuned. I guess the reason I love this book so much is because a lot of her philosophical approach to the book is very aligned to mine. And so when I read her book, I was like, yep, I feel you, I feel you. And so I thought I would share it with you all. All right, here we go. So let's talk about the terms hexing and cursing. And I'm going to add another term because this is the one that I usually use when I'm working with clients. So we have what we know as curses, we have hexes, and then what I refer to as dense or quote unquote negative juju or bad energy being sent your way. So let me divide those into three, and then we can dive into more insight about how they work and how we can protect ourselves. So for me, there's three levels. There is the cursing, and it's like cursing, not cursing with words, although cursing with words is including with cursing. But anyways, cursing involves an intentional, ritualistic approach. Okay, it could be ceremony, it could be grabbing a voodoo doll and performing a cursing ritual. It could mean writing somebody's name and then using herbs and crystals and then setting it on fire to send out that negative energy. But ultimately, cursing is an intentional and ritualistic approach to sending negative or dense juju to somebody with the hopeful potential that they will be negatively affected. So that's cursing. To me, that's the higher level. Hexing is when we have kind of the similar approach. We have an intentional, let me send that negative juju out there, but the ceremonial part of the ritual part may not necessarily be as intricate as it would with the curse. Okay. But the outcome is still the same, right? So it's more of I'm sending bad juju to them and I hope something bad happens to them. Or you could hex an item, for example. Okay, you could curse an item too, but you can do that with an item and say anytime this person touches this item, they're going to feel constipated. I don't know. Okay, so there's cursing and hexing. Some practitioners, those two are intertwined, and that's perfectly fine. Just from my perspective, I've always shared cursing and then hexing, and then what we have as bad juju being sent your way. Okay. And I'm going to give you an example of how that actually happened to me in just a bit. So the bad juju, for me, energy is neither positive nor negative. Okay, it's the intention of the practitioner and how we charge that energy that determines whether it is light, okay, associated with love, compassion, I said love, compassion, harmony, altruism, all of those wonderful light attributes of energy, or whether it's tapping into the more dense, quote unquote, negative, dense energy, such as jealousy and hate and anger, right? So, negative juju, when it's sent to you intentionally or not, is really just somebody having this energy thought that is literally being aimed either out into the world or at one specific person or a group of people. All right. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, friend A hangs out with friend B. And then all of us, they've been friends for years. And then all of a sudden, here comes friend C. Ooh, and now there's the three of them. Okay. Well, friend A starts to get jealous of the relationship between friend B and C and starts to spew out negative energy towards friend C. Okay. Because she's jealous that she's come in, from her perspective, she's come in and shift the dynamics. And so even though she hasn't done a full cursing or a full hexing, she is intentionally angry. She's jealous. She tries to manipulate situations, like making sure they include her in everything that these two do. And so eventually, friend C is going to start to feel that. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about how this type of energy, whether it's cursing, hexing, or bad juju, can manifest in your life. And again, this is just a very high overview of how this works. Please keep that in mind, okay? So anytime that I send you bad energy, right? If I am not spiritually immune, in other words, if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not taking care of my physical body, if I'm not taking about my emotional wellness, my mental wellness, if I'm not getting good exercise if possible, if I'm not eating healthy, if I'm getting drunk every night or I'm getting high all the time, what we're doing is that, or I'm in constant conflict with people, okay? If I am constantly in those modes, my spiritual immune system drops, just like your immune system would, and then you catch a cold, right? And then you sound like me, although this is allergies. Anyways, so your spiritual immunity drops. So when friend A is sending friend C all of that negative energy, if friend C isn't up to par with her protectiveness, being aware of, her emotional state, mental state, and so forth, as I just mentioned, then she's going to start to feel dis-ease, dis-ease emotionally. Maybe she starts to feel sick, maybe she starts just to yuck, and then eventually, if she doesn't take care of it, it could totally manifest in some sort of disease or illness in the physical body. Now, I'm going to remind y'all very, very quickly, if you want more information about how energy beings work, visit the Math Heart Institute, because what I'm about to tell you is based on their research, amongst other researchers, okay? We are electrical beings. And so as electrical beings, we have two organs that are primary in electricity: the brain, the noggin, okay, and then the heart. Now, the most important one is the heart, because you can live without this working correctly, but if this doesn't work, you're done. So the other reason that the heart is the most important is because it's sending out an electrical field with every pump, an electrical field that extends feet beyond us. Now, if any of you have been in a lightning storm, which we have done recently, you know that a lightning strike doesn't need to hit you directly to feel the electricity in the air. That is energy. That's what our heart does. Our heart is like the lightning bolt, and the energy that it sends out is like that electrical field that we sense during an electrical storm. Okay. Now, the amazing thing about electricity and energy is that it's an information gathering system. It is how we, as humans in this body, gather information from our environment in a non-sensory way, right? So we have the five senses, okay? This is what we would tap into, our intuitive sense, okay? So it's constantly bringing in information. So now let's say that friend A and friend C, okay, are in this constant sending, receiving, sending, receiving, sending, receiving. She's going to start picking that up eventually, and eventually she's not going to feel good. And so what we want to do with the book that I mentioned, okay, is learning how to remove those curses, learning how to remove those hexes, and learning how to remove, okay, that negative juju that somebody is either intentionally or not intentionally sending to you. And what I mean by not intentionally, it may mean someone who's just cranky all the time, or bitter, or angry, or, just that's not intentionally being directed towards you, but it is being sent towards you anyways. All right, so far so good? Okay, so the next part of this is I just want to mention that there are spiritual and religious practices that value the practice of cursing, hexing, and sending bad juju, okay? And some of those practices we might know, Santeria, voodoo, hoodoo, okay? And that's their practical belief, and there's a philosophy behind that. It's not my place to judge that philosophy, okay? But they value the energy that they send out, and so whether they use it positively or negatively, or as I prefer, light or densely charged, it's completely up to them, right? But for purposes of this video, we are going to talk about how we talked about how the science works. We talked about how the negative energy works, okay? But now I want to give you an example, okay? So in my life, two examples. Actually, one. I'm going to stick to one because this is a pretty good one. Okay, so a few years ago, I think 2016, we moved back to our hometown just for a little while, okay, like 9 months. And when we moved back, I was really excited because there was a new metaphysical store right around, the corner from where we were living, and I was super excited about going there. Okay, so as soon as we drove up, my kiddo, Alex Sophia, sorry, sniffling, Alex Sophia was like, "We should not be here." She was picking information up from that heart intuitively, and she was like, "We should not be here." Me, of course, oblivious, although I do psychic work and I do intuitive work, I completely decided to overlook that because I was so excited about finally being around other metaphysical practitioners. So I walked in. She waited at the door. Okay. As I'm browsing, I'm starting to get the energy flow that Alex Sophia was talking about. Okay. The owner comes up and talks to me, and I introduce myself. She introduces herself, and they give her my business card, handed right over to her. What was I thinking? The whole idea of witch work, of using people's personal stuff, means that they are imbued with all of their energy. So as soon as I gave her my business card, she had my energy. She had my energy. I don't know what I was thinking. So as soon as she offered me a job doing tarot readings, and which I gracefully declined because I didn't like the vibe in that place, and I think she picked up on that. And then she saw me as a competitor, which was not good for her. So when we left, we literally got in the car and we didn't say a word. Alex Villa was like, "Don't say a word until we're out of earshot." And when we got home, it was kind of like, I felt like we both felt like we had to wipe off the yuck, the energy yuck from that place. Okay. Well, what ended up happening was that not soon after that, I said that wrong. Soon after that, okay, out of the blue, I started getting sick, like physically sick. I've never had so many medical issues in a short span of time. I had 3 surgeries. I had a massive car accident that left me with some brain damage. Okay. And that's why sometimes I have a hard time getting my words out, besides Mercury retrograde. And I was allergic to medicine I'd never been allergic to. I ended up with muscle spasms. I had gastrointestinal issues. Okay, TMI, I know. My throat's, I mean, there was all sorts of crazy stuff that happened during that period of time. 2 of my best friends dropped me out of the blue. No reason. I mean, still to this day. I mean, if I did something, then please let me know. No reason. It was crazy. My finances went, it was insane. There was so many things that happened. When I finally stopped, like 6 months later, and I was like, okay, this is not me. Like, something has to be going on here. We traced the energy back, and drum roll, please. It led to that creepy crack lady. That's what Alex Sophia called her. It led to her. I have no doubt that she put a hex or a curse on me so that I wouldn't be able to work, so that I wouldn't be a direct competitor, considering I was right around the corner from him. Yeah, we did a hexing and cursing release, which you will find a whole bunch in here. So I'm not going to give you any right now, but you are more than welcome to look into this book. And as soon as we did those, it took 3 or 4 rounds, everything started getting better. Everything started getting better. My finances went up. Some of my friends came back. Not the two that dropped me, obviously. Anyways, but I started feeling so much better. So that's just one really big example. A small example, I said I was only going to give you one. I'll give you two. A small example is when you've had, let's say, friend A and friend B and C, if friend A is sending C all of this negative energy, eventually she might start to experience medical issues or financial issues or just not feeling all that well, even if it's unintentional or just intentionally being upset with somebody, eventually they feel it. So there you go. If you want to learn more about hexing and cursing, not how to do it, but how to undo it, I would highly recommend this book. If not, you are more than welcome to reach out to me. I have plenty of tools in my toolbox that can help you. And yeah, that's what I'm here for. All right. So I lost my train of thought. That happens all the time. All right. Oh, yeah, please visit me at spiritualessence.com. That's spiritual-essence.com, or at Witchy Gypsies, where we just love to make fun of witchy everyday stuff. And that's it. All right, everyone. I hope this has been helpful in some way. If you feel you have been cursed, hexed, or somebody's just sending you negative juju, come and talk to me. Blessed be, everyone.